Hello everyone, good afternoon and namaste. Myself Jayesham Pamnani as a host of ICICT 2022. Dear authors and invited guests, welcome to the technical session 2C. On behalf of a Global Knowledge Research Foundation, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to the 7th International Congress and Information and Communication Technology through Zoom. Further, you all are aware, we have been facing new normal situations while overcoming the pandemic. Hence, the conference has been shifted to a hybrid mode. We are very thankful to everyone present on this platform to go along with us digitally for the conference in this unpredictable situation and making this conference more productive. Also, we wish everyone and the families a protected time. We hope you will enjoy 2 days of the knowledgeable and interactive digital session. And there is a special note for the presenters. You will be given 10 to 12 minutes for the presentation and 3 minutes for question and answers. On 10 minutes, I will raise a gentle reminder and I request while the presentation is going on, other participants kindly be muted. There is another request to all the participants that you all stay connected with us till the closing remarks. Just before we start, I would like to introduce to all to the chairperson for the session, Dr. Afzal Abdul Qadir. Thank you, sir, Dr. Abdul Qadir, sir, for chairing the session.
Yes, thank you, Jace. Yeah.
I would say something about the short brief information regarding the professor. Abdul Qadir sir has obtained his PhD in a wireless communication from University Technology Malaysia in 2014 and mechanical engineering and electronics and communication Malaysia as well as in 2008. Let's begin with the first presenter. Now I would like to start with the first paper and I would like to invite the first participant, Bushu Kir Savis, to present his paper on a review of research in 2021 on coronavirus disease in the pediatric patients. I request the
Hello everyone, my name is
the participant. Please share the screen and start the presentation.
Dear all, thank you for joining my presentation. Okay. And first, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Burcu Kırsavaş. I'm an assistant professor at Kocaeli University and Kocaeli University Department of Computer Engineering. And you can see my agenda. First of all, I would like to talk about content of my study, and then infection in children, and then my methods, and why I choose the studies, and my paper discussion and conclusion. This survey mainly about CT and X-ray imaging, finding children while highlighting the radiological research of COVID-19 in pediatric patient. I mentioned about, first of all, effect of the children, because everyone knows COVID-19 is the most important things in our world, and most of the doctors and the professors focus on adults' health, but also the children's health is important to us, because the children most infected and contagious from the COVID-19. Because of that, we are inspired by this limitation of research. Machine learning based pediatric patients of the COVID-19 diagnosis, and various researchers have been collected between January 2021 from November 2001. The contribution of this paper mainly about has been examined based on machine learning techniques, including CT and X-rays in COVID-19 disease, in also children's. And a comparison of articles has been provided in terms of their applications, author, and laboratory parameters and study results to provide valuable insight for the pediatric cases. And also, we are expect that the future research has lighted improvement for missing and limited cases. And why is the important infection in children? According to pediatric healthcare providers, and on December 30th, 2020, globally fever reports of COVID-19 have been listed in children between the ages 0 between 17 years old as with adults. And all of us, 22% of USA population consist of children. This is the most important, the children's is the most important things for us. And it is too easy to protect ourselves, the adults. It is too easy to protect themselves, but in children, it's more important and more difficult to adults. And last data indicate that compared to adults, children most probably have a very much alike viral disease and can drive the virus to other people. As you know, as everyone knows, the children go to school and connect to their families and friends, and we generally use the mask, but the children don't want to wear the mask. Because of that, they affect their selves and they affect to us. Children's incubation period of COVID-19 is considered the same as in adults at 2 and 14 days with a standard of 6 days. It's just similar to us. And signs of COVID-19 in children are as follows, like us: cough, fever, sore throat, malaria, abdominal pain, loss of taste, loss of smell, headache, difficult breathing, diarrhea, nausea or vomiting, or poor appetite. Of course, we know the adults is more affect to the children, but we can't say that the children has injured, because the children has injured. Most children have all signs or some of these symptoms when they are infected or with COVID-19. All these symptoms in children similar to adults are considered. Lack of the statistics of symptoms or originality of sign for recognition or classification COVID-19 in children is especially challenging. As we can see in the literature, is focused on mainly about the COVID-19 in adults, but the limitation and the lack of the literature, because of the lack of the literature, we haven't got lots of idea about the children's disease, children's COVID-19 disease to affect and their reaction. And this is the criteria, present research criteria. This is my present research criteria. Our studies are analyzed the researchers, articles, pediatric cases, and we are focused on the journal articles, case reports, series, and thesis. And we are focused on the children age under the 18 for both genders, and in Asia, USA, and Europe people. And we are focused on the COVID-19 disease, COVID-19 disease, and symptoms, scientific disorders and disease. And we are searching and researching in English, writing language is English. And most of all, we are focused on the machine learning techniques like CT images or X-ray images. And we are mostly find out in Turkey, Italy, and US government are mostly focused on the children's disease. In Turkey, there are 4 paper and researcher in 2021. They are among 70%, 74 children has right-sided or bilateral, and also feeding and holocene and pluripotent thinking. And also in other studies say that in 1,156 children did biomedical test and complete blood count and chest CT and X-ray. Among these children, 263 have asymptomatic and 668 have mild disease, and 209 have a moderate disease, and also 16 have severe disease. I know this is most children get through the.
Sorry to interrupt you, but are the slides you are moving over there to the slides, because the presentation is on the same page.
Same page.
Yes.
Sorry. I just. What is?
Yeah, it's for.
Is it okay?
Is it visible now?
Okay, sorry about that. And as you can see, is the severe disease or critical cases is low. I know is low, but it is not important because it is low, because the children affected is children's infection is children affected have to more researching, because they are really important people to us, and they are also related on the adult people, mostly adult people, because some adult people, most adult people just live by themselves, by their selves, but children doesn't. They have to live another people. And in Turkey, the other researchers among 422 children, including 23 have asymptomatic, 45 have mild disease, 10 have moderate, and 1 is severe, and critical cases doesn't. And other researchers said that 148 children CT findings was classified that 52 PCR positive patient, and regarding all CT findings, 23 PCR positive and 12 negative patient. And as you know, the PCR test is most difficult to the children, because they don't want to do that. And approximately they are also other disease. Approximately 65% unliteral, approximately 51 multifocal, and 88 peripheral, and 61 lower lobe involvement. Also, they are injured about the lung and other symptoms. And then the Italy findings among 177 children, 79 have bone lesion, and 98 have normal. And other Italy among 40 children result for chest CT, and they are good sensitivity, and GGO subpleural basal nodular consolidation not frequent, and also for chest X-ray result low sensitivity, and subpleural.
Sorry for the interruption. You have just 2 minutes more to go.
Okay, and as Italy and the US people and the Turkish people just research on the children in COVID-19, affect the COVID-19, and male and female. This is, I think, and the papers thinks, it's more, it's not enough to find the solution or the affect the children. We have no idea right now what is affect the children about the COVID-19. And we don't know in the future, we don't know about the future, the children affected of the COVID-19 or not. And the literature and the researchers is not enough for that. And many studies have been focused on the fact that it's difficult to distinguish the diagnosis of COVID-19 from the non-COVID-19 diseases, such as influenza and pneumonia. But since it's very difficult to understand the difference between the symptoms of COVID-19 disease from the symptoms of other disease and to detect the disease, it can cause misdiagnosis. And it has been observed that the majority of studies in the pediatric field were conducted by researchers in the USA and Turkey. In addition, it is thought that there is an urgent need to conduct more studies of this subject. And we are researchers. COVID-19 mostly affect adults, and children are affected by COVID-19 disease in many ways. This comprehensive review summaries in the clinical feature of children in COVID-19 in 2021. And many children in pediatric patients have a mild course. Therefore, a balance between the risks of radiation and the vitalism for CT scan is very important, I think. Thank you for joining my presentation.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such a great presentation. I would like to ask to the chairperson if you have any of the questions for the presenter to please proceed further.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. So you study for the data global. I saw you study on the US, Europe, some Italy and Turkey. Did you classify, let's say, based on gender, male on females, the age, the area, more details? Did you like something like that?
I did my paper. I did write my paper in gender and the region and the other disease and the effect, why is affected, and other symptoms. I just write my paper on at the table. Okay.
I see. So how many data you total you analyze, or you did just
Okay.
Just now you mentioned yeah.
I analyzed in 2021 papers, and this all about 220 papers, okay? Because I just focus on the CT and X-ray, and the supervisor just check the result, okay?
Yeah, okay. Just a comment. I have some paper read as well. They are focusing because some of area, let's say, one of the part, let's say Africa, Asia, Southeast Asia, there is some part they got the high immunity for the children's, even they got infection a bit. So we have to classify more detail so that we can get accurate or conclusion about the diseases. Just the idea, so we can analyze more detail the variables, more variables, so we can get more detailed analysis. Yeah, thank you for your presentation.
Okay, I will. Thank you for the comments.
Thank you, Jayesh.
Thank you so much, sir, for the valuable presentation and the valuable question answers. Now, moving with the next presentation, I would invite the next presenter, Saman Pazuki, for the paper title, Securing International Space Station Against Recent Cyber Threats. I would request the presenter, please start sharing your screen and start the presentation.
Hi, can you see my screen?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Hello everyone, my name is Samane Pozoki. I'm from Southern Illinois University, USA. The topic of our presentation is securing International Space Station against recent cyber threats. The content of my presentation includes introduction, International Space Station framework, possible cyber attacks against ISS or International Space Station, problem formulation, simulation results, defense mechanism or solutions, and conclusion. Introduction. Satellites are orbiting around Earth. The application of satellites is for GPS, for satellites such as Starlink are used for internet, weather, disaster forecasting, cyber physical power system enhancement, universe space exploration, space flights, space mission to Mars and Moon. Companies with innovative invention projects such as Elon Musk, SpaceX, Jeff Bezos, Blue Origin, Richard Branson, Virgin Galactic. About $558 billion has been spent for global space industry market by 2026. Satellite components include antenna for sending, receiving information, camera sensors for forecasting weather, tracking hurricane, solar systems, universe, faraway galaxies, black holes, dark matter, space exploration. Power system including battery and solar panels, actuators for smooth movement and operation of the satellite, computing electronic devices to control satellites from Earth, or they can be communicate to each other from by artificial intelligence algorithms. ISS, International Space Station, as a space research center, is a habitable satellite orbiting around Earth with a speed of 7.7 kilometers per second. And the distance from International Space Station from the Earth is 409 kilometers. The International Space Station scientists are doing research in the International Space Station from 1998. With the International Space Station has the purpose of is used for the purpose of astrobiology, astronomy, meteorology, physics, testing spacecraft systems, equipment for a long-term mission to Moon and Mars as a collaborative project between US, NASA, Russia, Japan, Europe, and Canada. Satellites are controlled via space satellites, Earth stations, and via communication between them. They are a cyber physical system, controlling satellites from space, Earth, and via communication channel opens a door for malicious cyber threats against space satellites, Earth, and the communication segments. There are some false data. There are some false data injection cyber. There are some cyber attacks has been considered in the research against International Space Station, such as DOS attack, false data injection attack, jamming attack, which is about overpowering of a signal, eavesdropping attack, which is about sniffing data in a channel, hijacking attack, reusing satellite for another purpose, a spoofing attack, out of transmitting a legitimate signal with wrong data, and buffer overflow. Some security solutions such as access control, monitoring, whitelisting, firewall, encryption has been done on the international in the research for against threats to cyber International Space Station. Some security requirements such as a spacecraft communication, power system, and antenna are required for the security for enhancing security of International Space Station. The existing gap in the literature review demonstrates that despite the significant needs to consideration of cyber security challenges, requirements, solution of cyber physical space system, there are only a few research in this area. Therefore, considering the cybersecurity requirement challenges of the satellite, this paper proposed two different false data injection cyber attack against International Space Station. The first false data injection cyber attack results in battery depletion of the ISS power system. The second false data injection cyber attack results in load shedding of the ISS. A second, we recommend some security solutions, defense mechanism to protect the International Space Station from the cyber threats such as false data injection. ISS framework. As you can see in this figure, the ISS, the International Space Station, is the electricity demand of International Space Station is supplied by solar PVs located in the satellites, and the battery which saves the additional produced electricity by solar PVs. As you can see, the International Space Station is controlled by Earth Station, and there's a communication channel between International Space Station and Earth Station. This provides a door for attacker to influence the Earth Station or communication between International Space Station and Earth Station or International Space Station. Cyber attacks against ISS. The Earth Station is vulnerable. The attacker can penetrate and gain access to sensitive information of the Earth Station and apply different attacks to the ISS via impersonation. Wireless channel between Earth Station and ISS is vulnerable to cyber attack. Using the channel, the attacker can penetrate the ISS, stop the communication, crash the system, apply jamming attack, affect availability of ISS. Also, space tourism makes the ISS vulnerable and provide the platform for insider attack to breach the system and apply different cyber attacks to the ISS. Development of a space industry brings modern vulnerability to the ISS. The attackers can unlock the authentication and access the suitable authorization to penetrate the ISS system. As a result, one potential vulnerability of the ISS is power system, including solar panels and battery, which is vulnerable to different cyber attacks. Therefore, considering the ISS vulnerabilities, we proposed two different false data injection cyber attack resulting in battery depletion of the power system, load shedding of the ISS. And then because considering the cyber attacks impact on the ISS, we recommend some defense mechanism against the false data injection and other cyber attacks. Problem formulation. In the problem formulation, we talk about objective function, which is to maximize the false data injection power to the ISS. Then we talk about power balance of ISS, and we talk about power source and battery and the solar panel and the models of false data injection, cyber attack on battery depletion and load shedding. Simulation result. This slide shows the solar PV power available and electricity demand of International Station and available charge in battery. By applying the false data injection cyber attack on we can see here, this shows the available charge in battery. By applying the false data injection cyber attack to the system, we can see the battery is depleting. By the increase of false data injection attack, the battery is depleted more. Simulation results for load shedding. As you can see in this figure, by applying the false data injection cyber attack to the system, the load has been reduced, and solar PV and battery are not able to supply the electricity demand of an international space station. By the increase of false data injection attack, we are seeing the more reduction in load shedding. Defense mechanism and solution. Considering the cyber threats against international space station, we propose the defense mechanism solutions for the international space station. We have a purpose cyber security solution for Earth station and for International Space Station and the communication between them. Defense mechanism solution securing the Earth section. For securing the Earth section, we propose some defense mechanism such as encryption. Encryption should be applied to the data to prevent confidentiality, integrity, and other attacks. Firewall is used for monitoring and filtering incoming, outgoing traffic based on an organization previously established security policies. The firewall allows a non-threatening traffic in and out to in and to keep dangerous traffic out. Intrusion prevention system continuously monitors the system for malicious activity and takes action to prevent it from including reporting, blocking, and therapy. We propose some defense mechanism solution for securing the communication channel. Cryptography should be applied to the data transfer between Earth and International Space Station to increase confidentiality, integrity, authentication services, and control access to the ISS to evaluate authentication and authorization of the packets, devices, and persons who desires to connect to the channel. Firewall monitoring and filtering incoming, outgoing traffic based on an organization previously established security policies. The firewall allows non-threatening traffic in and to keep dangerous traffic out. Intrusion prevention system continuously monitors the channel for malicious activity and takes action to prevent it, including reporting, blocking, and therapy. Conclusion. Satellites are being exponentially launched to the space for different purposes, weather, disaster prediction, internet such as SpaceX, Starlink, and GPS. ISS as a space research center is orbiting the Earth for analyzing the space system to facilitate the space flight to Mars and Moon. Despite the unique information are provided by satellites, especially ISS, the ISS controlled by a space communication Earth segment, which are vulnerable to malicious cybersecurity attacks. Therefore, considering the cybersecurity challenges, we proposed a false data injection cyber attack against the ISS to study the performance of the ISS under the cyber attack. Also, we recommended some security solutions, defense mechanism against the cyber attack. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you for the presentation. So, do we have data how many attacks have been done? What the intention for the attackers?
Would you please repeat your question? I couldn't hear you well.
Yeah. As your topic is against cyber attack to the ISS International Space Station. Do you have data how many attacks have been attacked by attackers? What the intention? Is it something like our internet cyber security or cyber internet attacks? Someone attacked to the bank, to the company to get the data to the bank. What the intention? Is it many data or do you have some?
No, the data available. The data is available on the paper.
Oh yeah, I don't have your paper. It's okay. So currently, what they are the how to prevent, how to protect beside the like Just you
Yeah.
mentioned is putting firewalls. Is it something like security for the
Yeah,
this,
there are two because the International Space Station is controlled by Earth Station. The Earth Station and the communication channel between Earth Station and International Space Station is vulnerable to different cyber attacks. So we propose two different mechanisms for Earth Station and another other solutions for communication channel, such as firewall, firewall IPS, and encryption of data
I
and
see.
access control.
All right. Because the ICS is not like our common internet can be public access, because as I saw, this dedicated only controlled by stations, only certain people, or only it's not open public, I think. So
Yeah, it is.
you have
There are not a lot of information available about International Space Station because of the privacy issue, but some information about International Space Station available on NASA website. We took the information from the NASA website, NASA government.
NASA, yes. Okay. Thank you for the presentation. Thank you, Jayes.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir, and thank you, the dear presenter. Now, I would like to invite our next presenter, Sonok Mahapatra, and his paper title is a post-quantum zero knowledge proof system using quantum information theory.
Hello, my name is Sonok Mahapatra, and I'll be presenting today. So should I screen share? Okay.
Yes, please. Can you start your screen sharing and start the presentation?
Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Hello, my name is Sonok Mahapatra, and today we'll be discussing a paper written by myself, Tyler Woldridge, and Dr. Wong, titled A Post-Quantum Zero Knowledge Proof System Using Quantum Information Theory. In this presentation, we'll introduce the topic of our research and motivation for the development of our own zero knowledge proof system. Secondly, we'll give some background on the mechanisms used in the research, then discuss our theoretical quantum information channel algorithm. Finally, we'll use programmatic experimentation to illustrate our results on a classical computer and conclude our results. Section 1, Post-Quantum Zero Knowledge Proof, Introduction and Motivation. Due to the increased reliance, most of the internet's current security systems rely on the existence of zero knowledge proof algorithms. Zero knowledge protocol is a way of authenticating passwords where no passwords are exchanged, which means secret information cannot be stolen. This allows you to prove that you know some secret at the end of a communication channel without actually revealing the secret. This enables zero knowledge proof to be used for sending messages, password verification, matching transactions, etc. Hash functions are the most widely used cryptographic algorithms for zero knowledge proof. The purpose of a hash algorithm is to convert a number of data types into a 64-bit representation, as illustrated in the presentation. This enables two users to prove to one another that they contain the exact same data without giving up the secret. There are, however, vulnerabilities we'll later discuss. The existence of quantum machine. Next, we'll discuss the role of quantum computing in hashes and zero knowledge proof systems. A quantum computer is any computer that uses quantum bits to perform tasks. Because of properties such as quantum entanglement, such computers are able to solve certain computational problems faster than classical computers. Solutions include cryptographic systems, such as the ones used in the zero knowledge proof algorithms. The existence of quantum machines leads to the development of vulnerabilities to most zero-knowledge proof systems, making the need for the establishment of a post-quantum algorithm of utmost importance. In our research, my team's goal was to determine a zero-knowledge proof system that is quantum resistant and create a code application of said zero-knowledge proof network. Background. One of the primary technologies we use to represent quantum bits is the pseudo-quantum transform, which heavily relied on the mathematics of wavelets. Wavelets are used to understand signals in both time and frequency. Wavelets allow us to replicate the wave function at which quantum particles operate in. Further analysis can be done in the mathematics of wavelet transform into wavelets, but for the purpose of this presentation, we'll move on. For those who are knowledgeable about wavelets, these are the 4 bands we used. The primary quantum algorithm that poses a threat to most existing hash functions is Grover's search algorithm. Grover's search algorithm employs 2 Hanemark gates and a Grover's diffusion operator. This allows for a high probability for unstructured search for a unique input. For the computer scientists in this presentation, Grover's algorithm allows for O square to N search of an unsorted list versus traditional classical algorithms, which are about O of N. Grover's algorithm allows for function inversion, which creates a problem of collisions and pre-image attacks, which are fundamental to asymmetric cryptography. Quantum bits are usually denoted as existing on a Bloch sphere in a superposition of 0 and 1. Possible points on a Bloch sphere include half plus square root of 3 over 2i or square root of 2 over 2 plus square root of 2 over 2i. Due to only having access to classical computers, we decided to represent quantum bits as a point between intervals of pi over 6 and pi over 3. Privacy preserving mechanisms. Quantum mechanism for zero knowledge proof. We turn to quantum information in our theoretical classical to quantum mapping. We would first have to pre-process our data into data that is accessible to a quantum computer. We would then process our classical data into an array of quantum bits. These quantum bits could entangle with one another. The entanglement of quantum bits allows us to link up the wave properties of multiple qubits into just one auxiliary quantum bit. This means that our theoretical channel would enable us to convert an entire stream of data into one quantum bit. In our research, we explore the properties of quantum channels using a wide array of characteristics from quantum information theory. These include carrying capacity, which limits the rate at which information can be transmitted, the compression of data of an incoming bit stream, and optimization of circuits. Right here, Shannon's carrying capacity and Coding's theorem. There are 3 theoretical perspectives on which we view the quantum channel. The first is Schrodinger's perspective, which says there must be a purely quantum mapping between density matrices describing quantum states. Secondly, the Heisenberg perspective, which says a quantum channel would be a series of classical and quantum operators. And finally, next slide, the classical perspective, which takes into account when an input of data is classical. Now that we have a simple representation of some set of data, we can now implement a zero-knowledge protocol. Without any possible brute force algorithm to tamper with the program or mapping inversion that a zero-knowledge problem is solved, we can compare 2 quantum bits on the probabilities of each qubit collapsing to 0 or 1. If the 2 have negligible differences in quantum states, we know that the 2 parties have the exact same data. Application and experimental results. In our paper, we simulated a theoretical classical to quantum channel using a modified decentralized network with pseudo-quantum signals. We used numerous steps, including our wavelet transform, to change our data into a pseudo-quantum signal, which we could send, receive, and manipulate similar to our quantum mapping. Our findings illustrate a viability of quantum channels in a zero-knowledge proof system. Conclusion and remarks. In this research, we developed a security scheme for applications in post-quantum cryptography. We developed a classical to quantum mapping for zero-knowledge proof of data. We proposed a security scheme in accordance to finding a solution of Grover's algorithm effect on hashing. We were able to demonstrate the post-quantum nature of the qubit channel of classical data. We're also able to explore methods of data encryption, network storage using quantum mechanical properties. And classically, we're able to use wavelet-based pseudo-quantum signals to represent and illustrate a peer-to-peer network that is able to send, receive, and decode pseudo-quantum signals. And here are references, and thank you for your time. Is there any questions that the audience would like to ask?
Yes, thank you, Sonok, for the presentation. Just a simple, maybe getting your audit. Actually, I am now is in Boston, attached in Harvard University. So I as well follow one of the group in the quantum computing in the Harvard as well in MIT. So currently, how the status latest? I saw still got some issue about the expectation about quantum computing, the speed of the performance, thousands compared to current performance of the computing with the microchip or something. So how do you analyze about something like besides just now you mentioned is insecurity? How the status now? Is it ready to deploy or commercials or something? Do you know?
Well, I believe Google just announced quantum supremacy, which means they announced just a quantum computer being able to surpass a regular computer in efficiency and time. It wouldn't be commercial; it'd be more so for important information. And due to the lack of a quantum computer, we don't really know what they're useful for, but in the near future we can, and we don't have a wide access to quantum computers, so this wouldn't be readily available, but this is a viable option for post-quantum zero knowledge proof.
All right, thank you. Actually, here there is some of the prototype, but there is some issue when they are doing testing or simulation. It's okay. Anyhow, thank you for the presentation. I'll back to JS.
Our next presenter is Harry Frederick Kotamalala, and his paper title is A New Approach to Rural Energy Planning Based on ICICT. The presenter, you may please start your presentation.
My name is Kutmalar, professor at the University of Vancharanan. We are in cyclonic period and it's rain a lot, and power cuts are frequent. Well, without delay, I present to you our work entitled New Approach to Rural Energy Planning based on ICICT MGK. This is my outline. Introduction, materials and methods, data collection, ICICT MGK methods, validation extracting rules according to MGK, new cohesion index, construction of a hierarchical tree, and resultant interpretation, and conclusion. According to your bank report, 3.3 billion people are estimated to live in rural areas worldwide, just under half of the world's population. And in Africa, which accounts for about 15% of the world's population, the consumption of electrical energy is estimated at only 3% of the world's consumption. More than 600 million people live without electricity in Africa, more than 80% of whom live in rural areas. Only 2 countries in the region, Mauritius and Seychelles, have achieved near universal coverage. The household access rate to electricity is greater than or equal 75% in only 6 African countries. Nearly 2/3 of countries in the region have access rates below 50%. Moreover, there is a huge disparity in terms of electrification because, well, the rate for the continent as a whole is estimated at 42%. Only 25% of rural areas are concerned. The fact is even more alarming in the case of sub-Saharan rural areas, where the electrification rate doesn't exceed 10%. The case of Madagascar is not at all isolated from the case of Africa, and more particularly the sub-Saharan zone. The rate of electrification is very low, as it is estimated at only 15% for the whole country. And among these 15% electrified and mainly urban areas, rural areas only benefit from 6%. Therefore, in a more direct way, only 9.9% of rural areas in Madagascar benefit from electricity produced by operators recognized by the state. All through the energy policy developed by the Ministry of Energy has taken into consideration these areas through the establishment of states organizations such as the Agency for the Development of Rural Electrification. Their achievements are very limited, and the current program wouldn't reverse the situation, which certainly contributes to the economic development of the country. The policy gap is reinforced by other factors, such as the social, cultural, and economic situation of the village, as well as their geographical distribution. Indeed, for a population of 25 million inhabitants occupying a very vast area of 589,000 square kilometers. That's to say 34 inhabitants per square kilometer. The estimated suggests an annual per capita income of less than $450. Our is to provide decision and development actors with a tool to help them make more efficient energy planning through a classification approach with a statistical method called ICICT MGK, implicative and cohesive hierarchical classification according to MGK, Guillaume Kenshaft. Its association rules mining is one of the most popular data mining techniques. Association rules is useful for discovering relationship within very large databases. Surveys around 1,000 736 households on the type of their habitats, their economic activities, the source of energy and electrical equipment they use were carried out in 3 rural of Antsiran, including DI périurbain of Dégosseres and I Ambilube and A Ambanj. With about the survey, we have this extract of binary table with 120 variables to analysis. The approaches revolve around the two principles, discovering and quantifying non-symmetric valid association rules according to MGK, like A involves B relation. Then clustering these valid rules to obtain materials. That is the data mining process according to MGK. Some references extracting MGK valid association rules. Yeah, this is the some references and the ICICT MGK with 3 references. But MGK with two patterns A and B of a binary context, the entertainers measure MGK is defined by this formula. But we'll have to consider advantageously a positive oriented dependency extracting from MGK. The extraction of the association rules is based on the interestedness measure MGK compared to the relation 2 by 2 of the variables according to contingency tables. And the validation of the extracted rules is done in relation to the favorite component by this formula. With association rule A and B, a validation rule, we can get the support of this rule. And the value of the support according to MGK, its value is essentially to normalize this value to contrast it by affine homeomorphism process. And the value of normalized support allow us to establish the cohesion index. And with the cohesion index, we can have the cohesion between classes of variables and the implication between classes. And applying Ratzinger-Jones algorithm, we have materials and can establish the trees. Result and interpretation. The aim of this study was to highlight the most used and consumed source of energy in the 3 rural areas of the northern of Madagascar. Household 1,736 and 120 variables. Applying extraction algorithm according to MGK, we have 7,140 valid rules, and the normalization is between the non-3 and 1. And the cohesion definition, we have 2,080 pairs of oriented variables and 44 materials. We can have this table. Interpretation, these materials. We have,
Sorry to
for
interrupt you,
example,
sir, but you have last 2 minutes.
yes, for example, these materials, R1, RE1 involves pistachios. This observation is supported by the rules R1, R2, R3, R30, table of table 5, and each class forming this respective rule have strong cohesion. We can interpret it. Culture, animal husbandry, and fishing are the main activity of the rural inhabitants. Each selected and surveyed area has its specificity in the relation to these two free activities. But for this, for fishing only, area 3 intensively practice this activity. Household less than 5 people, this rule, don't practice cultivation of sugarcane. In overall, area 2 and area 3 are made up of household of less than 5 people, while in area 1, households are made up of more than 5 people because the culture of sugarcane needs manpower and they live in hard houses. The rule R5, those who grow more tomatoes, the area 1, are family of more than 5 to 10 people and live generally in falafel house. This is the product. I can present you the extract of the dendrogram representing the metarule substance. This is the 44 metarules obtained by the ICICT MGK. The conclusion, the aim of our work is to provide actors in the field of rural electrification, mainly in sub-Saharan Africa, with a tool to help optimizing the implementation of energy planning. The case of the northern zone of Madagascar is the subject of experimentation. Thus, through a database collected on several representative communes, the ICICT MGK method is used. The meta rule established by the classification highlight in a precise manner the links between the different parameters of study, such as the professional activity of household, their locality and others, with energy related characteristics. Thank you for joining. If you have a question, you can.
Yes, thank you for the
Ask me.
presentation. Yeah, all right. So what is the main source of the electrical generation in the rural area? Is it solar energy or wind or what?
The sense is that I can you export with we did an analysis the rural electrification in the three area of northern zone in Madagascar, and the survey we can transform the data on a binary context and analysis of our tools ICICT MGK, and we obtain the materials, and these materials interpreted to have the result and help the authority to take a decision. And with 44 materials, yeah, there are many analysis and result for the decisions.
Okay, thank you.
I misheard your voice. You can write.
It's okay.
Discussion.
I think we are over our schedule, our agenda. I think we continue for the next. Jayes, yeah, back to you.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yes.
so much, sir, for the great presentation and the informative and for the question answers.
Thank you.
Let's move to the next presentation. And I would like to invite Fabrizio De Amaro for the paper titled Source Course Anti-Plagiarism or C Code Implementation Using the Routing Approach. I would like to tell the presenter to please start the presentation and start sharing your screen.
Still impossible to share. Okay, thank you. I hope you can hear me. My name is Fabrizio D'Amore, and I am from University of Rome, La Sapienza. This is a paper approaching a problem that is coming from software engineering, and I'm not a software engineer. I am an expert in information security and in cybersecurity. Yet I thought I wanted to face this problem arised during the connection with a private company. In general, we talk about plagiarism by meaning that a plagiarist is someone that is acting with some like copy and paste for letting his code build. And I mean that it is very frequent to meet people that are not the original author of the code that is used for the application their company is using. In particular, I'm referring to source code. Software engineering is studying the problem since a lot of time, but the approach of software engineering is the one trying to recognize the fact that the software is copied. In my approach, this is completely different, and I'm trying to define an approach preventing people from copying the code. Also, it can be detecting the copy, but I think it is more important to be able to detect some copy. This is an important problem, and a lot of money has been considered lost for this problem. And in particular, there is not only a problem of money, but also a problem of reputation. And today, many people are using open source software. And as you know, open source licenses, though they discourage plagiarism, they are not preventing the phenomenon. There are a lot of techniques for preventing plagiarism, and the most known and popular are software watermarks and birthmarks. And the approach can be static or dynamic. The static approach is based on the fact of hiding something inside the source code, so that this information is used for providing output. But the problem is that this information that is extra information could be easily detected and removed. This is why dynamic techniques have been introduced, where dynamic techniques are more related with the state of the execution rather with the source code. But the problem is that in the case of dynamic techniques, you can detect the software plagiarism, but you know, there are a lot of possibility. I don't want to give a complete landscape about that because there is a lot of literature. But the problem is that we want also to prevent the software plagiarism. So we are proposing a new approach. I'm studying this problem since a few years, and I faced all details with some students I had in previous years. The last student is my co-author, and actually is not longer a student, but he got his master. In any case, our approach is based on the idea of introducing cryptography, modern cryptography, inside the management of the source code. And a critical concept for this approach is the concept of a router. We call it a router because it acts like the network device, but the router is a function or method, what you want to call it. I will call it a function. And the idea is that we will use encryption for getting confidentiality. And we are also ready for processing the code. You imagine the code is ready for be released. We can process the code and change it in such a way that every function call is no longer used, but it is replaced by a call to the router. And information is guaranteed to be integral because we are computing some cryptographical hashing. We call it a closed hash of a source file. Imagine the code is having several source files, and there are several software dependencies among source files. So if you use this notation for denoting the hash code of these source files, you can get the hash code, we call it closed hash code of source files, by considering all the source codes and in particular the hashing that are computed in the same way according to the software dependencies. When we do that, it is clear that we have to encrypt information that is communicated to the router, because the router is managing all the critical information. An attacker, a plagiarist, could try to run the attack by examining information in the router. So this is why we are encrypting all information with a secret key, a symmetric key. Well, when we are prototyped our system, we have considered the Java language, and later we consider the C-square language. So we got the result of having multiple C-square classes implementing these router functionalities, and we can use them in any situation where there is the .NET core and the .NET framework. Of course, we are considering some tools, and in particular, you can read here the name of the tools we are using, a decompiler and a special compiler for the language. What is important is that we are not using private tools, but public open source tools available to everybody. And this approach is also viable for many other languages. I repeat, we experimented the approach for C# and for Java. So the steps are replace function reference with the correspondent forward calls. A forward call is a call to the router. Then we have to run the router initialization step. And in addition, we have to copy output values with the router code and compile the software with the modified source file. In addition, we wanted to make use of some obfuscator for the code of the root, because we don't want it to be easily attacked by some decompilation of the router code. What I want to say is that we are not aiming at a totally secure project that cannot be copied, but we want to make the copying so hard and difficult and long that it becomes comparable to write again the code that we want to copy. So an attacker can be in some way made careful about these details. The project is open source, and we tested it on an existing C# software, and it behaved in a very good way. And the time for initializing the work of the router was just a few seconds. So we got this result by using a commercial computer, nothing specially dedicated to it.
Sorry for the inconvenience and interruption. I would request you to please, you have 2 minutes more to go.
Yes, this is the last but one slide. So I wanted to note that in the function references to router, you can read something like that, like these strings and other information, but you cannot make use of this information for obtaining valuable information about the original source code. So this means that there is no procedure, not easy procedure for an attacker to get or guess the original reference. And this is a result that can be repeated for other languages. So let me summarize the key points. The project is open source. You can get it by connecting to the GitHub. It is a good project for executable and the libraries and other files in theory, in principle. And you can get a very strong guarantee about the fact that you cannot copy the project, the source code. And you can integrate this act of post-processing the source code in whatever software development life cycle. In the future, we want to define a prototype working for the JavaScript, because we wanted to fight against the web plagiarism. And also we want a device, an algorithm that is independent on the language. And we want to refine our analysis about the number of the performance of the system. And this is ending my presentation. Thank you, everybody, for your attention.
Thank you, Professor, for the presentation. I think it's a good work since for the plagiarism, like a text, we have many tools to detect text plagiarism, even in local text, local language. But this the code plagiarism is something is a good work. But how is this your method, your tools? Is it applicable for any source code, any programming language, or only for the beside the C sub? Is it applicable?
I should say that today the system is able to work properly in all cases where you have available tools like compilers and decompilers. And in addition, you need also the reflection that is a typical property of languages. And for the case of the JavaScript we wanted to address in the next research, I don't see any difference. I mean, I suspect we can repeat our approach in obtaining the result of preventing the plagiarism on the web.
Okay, thank you. I think that's all problem. Thank you. I back to JS. You can continue.
Thank you so much for the great informative presentation. I would like to request to the next presenter. The author name is Ken Do, and the paper title is a text classification for the Vietnamese feedback via a fiber-based deep learning. I would request the presenter, please start sharing your screen and start the presentation. I think the presenter is not available. So this was the end of the presentation. I would request the chairperson to speak some respective lines for the presentations conference.
Yes, I would like to say thank you so much to the ICICT London community to invite me as a session chair for this conference. And thank you so much to all the authors to present the good work, good research. Hope we can continue with the new audio. And again, thank you to ICICT. That's all. Thank you, JS, as a moderator for this session.
I sincerely thank our authors for the excellent presentation, contribution in this session, and all our participants for being a part of this international conference. I hope this session was informative enough. All the presentations will be getting their digital certificates through email within 2 working days. Further, all the papers have already been forwarded to the Springer. The publication will be live within 5 to 6 months. Kindly cooperate with the team of the ICICT 2022. I also thank our session chair, Dr. Izil Abdul Qadir, for chairing the session. A token of appreciation to the chair on behalf of the team ICICT 2022 and Global Knowledge Research Foundation. Round applause for the Dr. Chairperson.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. That's all from me. Thank you to committee. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Dear all, I kindly request you all to on the camera for a quick snapshot for the memorable virtual conference. I again once again request the presenters, please switch on your camera. Thank you so much for your valuable time.
I think we can end this session. I
Yes,
saw
sir.
the, yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing the session, sir.